Amateur Traveler is in its 20th year now, but can you imagine if I had people on the show who had never been to the destination, but had just read about it or seen a movie about it? That wouldn't make any sense at all, and you wouldn't listen. We all know how important it is to receive advice from people who know a destination to get the most authentic local experience. And a great option for experiencing this is Explore Worldwide and their authentic small group adventures, led by local tour leaders, perfect for solo travelers who want to meet like minded people with a desire for adventure. I'm often an independent traveler, but two of my last three trips were with small group tours because they organize everything and it's a lot easier. If you want to recreate the tour I did to Malta, they have a Malta and Gozo Discovery Tour. I'm intrigued by one of their tours called A Taste of Sicily. The company again is Explore Worldwide, and visit exploreworldwide.com to learn more. And thanks to Explore Worldwide for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler. The nights are long, the days are short, and the weather is chilly to downright cold, depending on where you are. It's a good time to slip into a Quince iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at only $50. You can treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price with Quince. If you really want to dive into luxury, you can check out their leather handbags, washable silk shirts, and European linen sheet sets. Whatever you're looking for at Quince, all the prices are 50 to 80% less than similar brands, and they do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the middleman. They only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing processes. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. But you've already heard me rave about my Quince travel pants. Treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/traveler for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/traveler to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/traveler. And thanks to Quince for sponsoring this episode of Amateur Traveler.
Got my bags packed, I'm on a roll. I'm heading out there and I'm ready to go. I'm looking real good in my passport photo. Oh, no.
Amateur Traveler, episode 726. Today, the Amateur Traveler talks about castles and Celts, hikes and beaches, steam trains, and rugby as we go to Wales. Welcome to the Amateur Traveler. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. Let's talk about Wales. I'd like to welcome to the show Portia, or Pip Jones, from pipandthecity.com and the walesbucketlist.com, as well as the Travel Goals podcast. And Portia has come to talk to us about Wales, the country, not the animal. Portia, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me on. Diolch yn fawr.
Oh, no, we're getting into Welsh already. Okay.
Thought I'd throw a little Welsh in for you.
Well, and what is your connection to Wales? Are you from Wales then?
I am born and bred in Cardiff, or Caerdydd, as we say in Welsh.
Okay. In northern Wales?
Yeah, and that is the capital of Wales. I actually spent quite a lot of my 20s travelling outside of Wales and moved back when I was 30, and have spent the last few years sort of like still traveling a lot as a travel writer, but also spent some time developing my own Wales travel website as well.
Excellent. And since we predominantly are going to a North American audience and a U.S. audience more than anything else, there's a little confusion among some people in the U.S., including one in Washington, D.C. I can think of, in terms of whether Wales is a country or part of another country. And the answer is yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Sort of. We could honestly do a whole podcast about the politics of this. We've got in Wales what's known as partial devolution, which means that we do have our own government here in Wales, Welsh Gov, and we do have some control over things such as health, education, but not other things such as tax, military, etc. So it's kind of a convoluted system over here. Yes, we are very separate. We have our own language, cultural identity, government, but obviously we are very much attached to England. We take a lot of our laws and military kind of stuff from them as well. So, like I said, that is a whole other podcast that we could do just on that topic alone.
And let me see if I can get it correct. You are not part of England. You are part of Britain, Great Britain, and the UK.
We are indeed, yes.
Excellent. And why should someone go to Wales?
Wales is so overlooked in comparison to England and Scotland. A lot of US visitors just head straight to London and either stay within London or just go to places like Oxford, the Cotswolds. But Wales actually has a lot of beauty in a relatively small space. We've got mountain ranges, we've got award-winning beaches, green valleys, gorgeous castles. We've got over 600 castles here, and I know that Americans love castles. We've also got postcard pretty market towns, and we've got our own language as well. And I used to actually live and work in America, and I know a lot of Americans love listening to Welsh. One American person once told me that it was like listening to Lord of the Rings, which I enjoyed very much.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'd like to spell in Welsh. That would be the thing for me. And what kind of itinerary are you going to recommend for Wales?
So, this is an interesting one for me. Wales is a small country, but that doesn't mean there isn't an awful lot here. I think the temptation can be, with a lot of travel as well, is to try and cram a lot of destinations into 1 week. So there's two options with Wales. Either if you want to tick off a lot in a week, you could go from, say, South Wales to North Wales and hit a lot of destinations. Or you could pick a part of Wales that you want to discover more in depth. For example, North Wales and the Snowdonia National Park, the Brecon Beacons area, South Wales with the capital city and its beaches as well, or the Cambrian mountain regions, which is the most remote part of Wales but is beautiful for walking, hiking, cycling, all that kind of thing. So we could look at both options.
And when you say it's a small country, how large is it from north to south?
It takes roughly about 5 hours to drive through that, but that's mostly because we've got all the central Wales mountain area and the North Wales sort of like mountainous regions. So we don't have like a motorway, or I guess you call it a highway in America as such, that goes from south to north. So you kind of go round about the houses driving from South Wales to North Wales, but in a good way because there's so much to see along the way, especially if you're stopping, like I said, in the Cambrian mountain regions. There you've got remote destinations, you've got cute little market towns, you've got gorgeous, gorgeous walks, hikes, cycles, all that kind of way. So there's lots of destinations if you're going from South Wales to North Wales to stop along the way.
Excellent. And if I narrowed you down and forced you to pick your favorite 1 week itinerary, what are you going to do?
Okay. So a lot of people coming from America are going to be flying into London. And what I would say is then get the train or get the bus straight to Cardiff.
Okay. Which is in South Wales. Did I just put it in North Wales a little bit ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
yeah,
in
don't
South
let me get
Wales.
away with that.
Very naughty.
Yeah.
So that's in South Wales. So that's our capital. And obviously I live here and I love Cardiff, but really, if I'm honest, you only kind of need a day here if you've got a week, even half a day, really. We've got a very small city centre. In fact, it's called the 20-minute city because you can basically walk from one end to the other in about 20 minutes. We do have lots of nice food places here. We've got a castle right in the city centre, which I know is a bit of an unusual sight. You know, you've got coffee shops, restaurants, and next to you, you've got gigantic castle. So that can throw people off a little bit. But yeah, there's lots of historic Victorian arcades as well. So lots of little boutique shops, all that kind of thing. You can actually stay in the centre of Cardiff and just spend a morning, if you like, just wandering around, explore the castle, explore the shops, lots of lovely places to eat. What I would say for Wales is public transport can be quite difficult if you are looking to cover a lot of ground. So I would rent a car from Cardiff and then use a car to explore places. Now, I know
would you rent a car or would you hire a car?
Oh, that's interesting. Hire a car?
Okay.
So you would hire a car in Cardiff. And I appreciate that's not the most environmentally friendly thing to do. And if you were looking for shorter day trips, you can go to places like Swansea, which is a coastal town, and that's about an hour on the train. It's not that you can't get anywhere by train in Wales. It's just it's difficult if you're looking to do, say, a week and cover a lot of ground, especially when you start getting into the more remote Cambrian Mountains region, which is the central part of Wales. You really, really, really need a car for those kind of areas. So rent a car in Cardiff. Now, if you're going to do the South Wales to North Wales route, what you want to be doing then is heading to the national park called the Brecon Beacons. The Brecon Beacons are an absolutely beautiful part of South Wales. We've got one of the highest mountains in South Wales there, which is called Pen y Fan. Now, if you're a keen hiker, you can either hike that yourself. It's not a particularly difficult route, but there are several tour companies such as Real Wales Tours, which will offer you sort of like custom tours at Pen y Fan. So if you're not someone that's massively familiar with kind of like hiking yourself, there are options here in South Wales. Brecon is a really, really popular activity and holiday spot. It attracts lots of people who are really interested in outdoor activities because it's got really beautiful mountain biking, horse riding, trails, waterfalls as well. It's actually a beautiful walk called the Four Waterfalls Walk, which will take you, again, you can either attempt it yourself, you can look up the information, or there are tour companies which will take you around if you're not so familiar. And you can see the most incredible, beautiful waterfalls in the Brecon Beacons. It's absolutely fantastic to see. Also, you can do a bit of gorge walking in Brecon Beacons. And there's a company called Big Blue Adventures that will take you on a gorge walking experience. Now, this is basically scrambling up rocks, jumping into waterfalls. Oh, it's so, honestly, it's so much fun. You're going to get wet, though. You're going to get super wet.
So it sounds like what we would call canyoneering then.
Yes.
Where you're hiking up a river sort of thing.
Mm-hmm,
okay,
definitely.
Excellent. Great fun. Haven't done it in Wales, have done it in Jordan.
Oh, it is, honestly, it's really, really worth doing. It's so much fun. And you have to go massively out of your comfort zone to like jump off a waterfall, right?
Yes, that would be out of my comfort zone. Well, the other thing I wanted to say is you talked about hiking one of the tallest mountains in Wales, and there are some people who are listening who are not mountain climbers, who are never going to do K2 or go to Everest Base Camp. We're not talking that.
No,
right? So the tallest mountain in Wales is like 2/3 of a mile tall or something like that. Snowdon.
Snowdon, yes.
Is the tallest mountain, and it's, I think I just looked up 3,500 feet. And so this is something that even someone who's a non-mountain climber like me could potentially do. Absolutely.
It's not a massively challenging mountain. There's also a mountain train on Snowdon. We'll get onto that. So if you're feeling a little bit like, oh, I want to go up, but I'm not sure about the walk, we got options here in Wales. Don't you worry. So from the Brecon Beacons, what I would recommend then is going up to the Cambrian Mountains. Now, the Cambrian Mountains region, as I said, is full of wild and remote landscapes. It's possibly one of the most remote and sparsely populated parts of Wales. Now, you might be thinking, well, why on earth would I go there? But it's like a slice of authentic Wales here. You've got small farming communities, you've got beautiful walks, you've got these wild and rolling landscapes, as well as the most excellent stargazing opportunities here. A good place to base yourself in the Cambrian Mountains is a place called the Elan Valley, which is a small region that has a series of man-made reservoirs and dams. And these dams are absolutely beautiful. They're Victorian dams that were built in order to send water to Birmingham, which is a city, which is a city in England. And the engineering on them is absolutely beautiful. But around these dams, you've got all these beautiful walks and cycles. So you can hire some bikes and go round. Or if you're looking for a slightly more challenging mountain bike experience, perhaps for the more active listener, you can go on a mountain bike tour with Mountain Bike Wales. Now, they'll take you on these incredible rocky paths, bridleways, and their tours can be tailored to your experience. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, going along, what am I doing going on this crazy mountain bike experience? They do have like beginner tours, all that kind of thing. So if you kind of want to dip your toe in and have a bit of a taste as to what mountain biking is like in the Elan Valley, they've got you. Don't worry. It's a bit like hiking here. It's a sliding scale in Wales with hiking, biking, walking. You can either go tame or you can go hard, you know. There'll be a tour company that will look after you. So don't worry. We've got a lot of outdoor adventure tour companies here in Wales, and they're all really, really qualified, excellent customer service as well. So definitely base yourself in the Elan Valley, preferably somewhere in Rhyadr, which is a market town, which has lots of lovely Welsh pubs. And we love a drink here in Wales. You make your own fun here. Yeah, so you definitely want to base yourself in a nice, I mean, you could do self-catering accommodation for sure, but I actually think basing yourself in one of the smaller towns is a great way to get to know Wales. Talk to the locals, talk to bar staff, waitresses, the cafe owners, and ask them. We love talking about ourselves here in Wales, honestly. Ask us about what it's like here. Talk to us about the language, the culture, the politics. The hardest thing will be getting away, I promise you. Because once you start a Welsh person on a chat, that's it now. You're best friends. You're going to be talking for ages. But definitely head to some of the smaller Welsh pubs. You'll get some absolutely cracking Welsh food as well. So your smaller pubs will be a great opportunity to try some Welsh dishes such as cawl, which is a sort of lamb stew, Welsh rarebit, Welsh lamb is big here because we have a lot of sheep. That is a stereotype about Wales. That is very, very true. But like 3 million people, 7 million sheep.
Okay.
So definitely try some Welsh lamb. So after the Elan Valley, what I would say is then head over to one of my other favourite places, which is a place called Devil's Bridge. And Devil's Bridge is a small part of Wales. And again, perhaps not an obvious tourism destination, but it's a place that's full of local legends, beautiful walks, lovely food. So Devil's Bridge has these series of waterfalls that you can walk to, and it's quite a treacherous walk, but the payoff is absolutely worth it. So you go down these sort of like rocky steps to see these absolutely beautiful waterfalls and this really strange sort of looking bridge. Now the local legend has it that Lucifer himself built this bridge, and what happened was he got chased out of the area by a little old lady who made a bargain with him. I know, we love a story here in Wales. The devil said that he was going to have the first soul that crossed the bridge in exchange for constructing the bridge. So this little old Welsh lady's like, okay, not today, Satan. So she sent a dog over. So then the devil had to leave with his forked tail between his legs. But this pretty much sums up Wales for me. We love a good story here, especially if there's wine and beer involved. So Devil's Bridge is definitely a great place for this. Now in Devil's Bridge, as well as waterfalls, you've got lovely gastropubs and places to stay, like the Hafod, which again does fantastic Welsh food. There's also Sarah Bunton's chocolates, which do amazing Welsh chocolates. They are, honestly, pop in there and you can actually see the chocolate being made through the special viewing window, which is a real treat. You can get lots and lots of lovely chocolate stuff.
Is there anything, you say Welsh chocolates, other than them being made in Wales, is there something that I would look for in Welsh chocolates?
So one of my favourite Sarah Bunton chocolates is the one that has Merlin inside it. And Merlin is a Welsh liquor, sort of like a cream liqueur thing that is honestly to die for. It is absolutely gorgeous. And it's made by the Penderyn Distillery, who make a most marvellous range of spirits. So definitely have a little look out for that. It is lovely. Also have a steam train there. So if you fancy an old-fashioned steam train ride, it will go through forests and through the valleys all the way to the seaside town of Aberystwyth, which is a lovely Victorian seaside town. Then you can either spend a day in Aberystwyth, which I would recommend, have some ice cream, fish and chips, all that kind of thing, seaside walks, or you could head back to Devil's Bridge. It's about 12 miles away.
Okay.
So from Devil's Bridge, I would then recommend going on to North Wales. which is an absolutely beautiful part of Wales and very, very Welsh speaking. So if you are looking for that kind of authentic feel of Wales, North Wales is for you. You're going to be encountering a lot of Welsh speaking communities here. And it's just absolutely lovely to sit in a cafe and hear the language around you.
And when we say Welsh, so Welsh, if I remember correctly, is a Celtic language.
Yes. So English, hello, my name is Portia. Welsh, bore da, Portia dwi.
Okay.
So it's very, very different. It sounds absolutely nothing like English. A lot of people think it's the same language as Irish or Scottish Gaelic. It's not. They're three very distinct, different languages.
Although they are related.
Yes, absolutely. But I cannot understand
a word.
Irish, if I'm honest.
Okay.
With North Wales, I would definitely spend your last few days up there. And you want to be hitting some of the highlights like Snowdon, which is the tallest mountain in Wales. What I would say is that of late, Snowdon has become very, very popular because obviously we've been in lockdown here in Wales, and for some reason everyone has now suddenly discovered the great outdoors.
Yes.
So if you are going to go to Snowdon, I would either go in the shoulder season, so sort of like late September, early October, which is when I like to go because it's quieter, or I would go very early and try and get a sunrise walk on Snowdon, because there were some scenes the other day, someone had gone up there with their camera phone and were recording people queuing for like an hour for like a summit selfie. Seriously. So if you don't mind that kind of thing, it's a very sort of touristy kind of mountain, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's very touristy up there. If you're looking for a quieter mountain, I'd recommend Pimlimon. It's like a proper mountaineer's mountain, and that's a bit further down from North Wales.
Okay.
Konnichiwa, I'm Yuki, a tour leader with Explore. Who knew that hidden among Tokyo's towering skyscrapers was a peaceful tea house surrounded by ancient trees and serene ponds? Actually, I knew. It was my mother's secret sanctuary. Not everyone knows about Tokyo's Hamarikyu Gardens. Arigatou gozaimasu. But you will if you explore. Search exploreworldwide.com and don't just travel, explore.
Now, Snowdon is in the national park, as I recall.
Yes, it is.
Okay, which is Snowdonia National Park. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Snowdonia has its own national park, and in and around it, there's lots and lots of like lovely little towns around there, and lots of seaside places as well, which is really nice. But there's mountain ranges, landscapes, there's places that you can go biking. So much like the Brecon Beacons, it is a great place if you are interested in the great outdoors, coasteering, hiking, biking. North Wales in recent years has done a lot to kind of reinvent itself as an adventure capital of Britain. So here you can do things like Zip World, which are zip wires over abandoned quarries.
Okay.
Because you may or may not be aware, Wales has got a really big industrial heritage mining.
Right,
in
especially
terms of like coal.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We're world famous for that. But the abandoned mines that we now have either been repurposed into tourist attractions or these sort of like adventure playgrounds. So you can actually zip wire even an abandoned quarry, which is incredible. Or now this is very Wales to me. You can go and trampoline in underground slate mines.
Say what?
Yeah. So
okay. Hopefully they're taller mines.
Oh yeah. So there's bounce below. Basically means that you can go and trampoline in a cathedral-sized cabin. And they've got music, they've got changing light. It's really difficult to describe, but it is unreal. There's all these sort of like trampoline nets, so it's all very, very safe. You're very aware that you are essentially trampolining in a slate cabin, but that's kind of Wales. We kind of see things and think, I can make that into something. Like we have bog snorkeling here.
And I'm seeing trampoline, like one of those would be Lechwed Caverns? Is that do I have the right place, and am I anywhere close on the pronunciation? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we have lots of activities there. We've also got Surf Snowdonia, which is a man-made surf park, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can do sort of like surfing on these controlled waves as well.
Okay.
We've also got horse riding, biking. So North Wales is really trying to position itself as a kind of like New Zealand type adventure place with all these outdoor activities as well.
Yeah, and until you add zorbing, though, they're in a hole. When you get in the plastic bubble and go down the hill, then New Zealand's still in a class by itself. So the other thing that I'm thinking of Snowdonia that Snowdon is known for is the train, the cogwheel train.
Oh yeah.
But that's something you were skipping over. Is that something that you don't recommend?
Oh no, absolutely. Especially if you're into trains and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
My angle is always outdoors because I'm a real outdoors adventure kind of girl.
I sense that.
So
I would be talking about all the castles. You're talking about the mountains. I understand.
We do have castles in North Wales as well. And we've also got lovely Victorian kind of seaside places like Llandudno, which is absolutely lovely. They've got a 19th century pier there, which a lot of Americans seem to love. And they've got arcade games. There's a sandy beach, that kind of stuff. So there's also a place called the Great Orme, and you can take a tram up there. It's basically Great Orme. It makes it sound very dramatic. It's a big hill. I'm just going to put that out there. It's a very big hill.
Okay.
It's lovely though, but there's this historic tram that goes all the way up it. And it is beautiful up there. Again, it's fantastic for walking. You've got all gorgeous colours of all the heather, all that kind of thing. If you're into travel photography, it's a very Instagrammable part of Wales, to be honest. So definitely head to Llandudno to check that out. Like I said, there's lots of seaside places as well in North Wales. So it doesn't always have to be adventure activities. There are other things to do up there as well. Again, we've got lots of castles up there. We've actually got 600 castles in Wales. So
and so 600 castles. And the reason for that is they weren't built for tourism. They were built to keep the Welsh down, basically by the English. These are all English castles, or at least most of them. Do you have a favorite? If you're going to see a Welsh castle, you ought to go to...
So my absolute favourite is Castell Coch, which means the Red Castle. Okay. And that's about 15 minutes drive from my house. It's rather convenient. It is absolutely glorious. It's definitely one of the more fairy tale castles. So it is built on this rocky outcrop surrounded by forest. So it is absolutely stunning. And it was built by the Bute family. So they commissioned William Burgess to build this castle. So one of the male members of the Bute family decided that he wanted a castle built for his wife, thus putting all the other men to shame, right? So they commissioned this sort of romantic Gothic castle that looks historic, but actually isn't really that historic, if we're honest. But they've done an absolutely marvellous job on it. And you can do tours inside there as well and see the sort of weird Victorian opulence of the time. Actually, it's one of those places, it looks amazing on approach. So as you're sort of like driving towards the castle, it sort of seems to be like rising out of these ancient beech woods. And it just, honestly, it looks like something out of a Disney movie.
Well, and to me, it looked very, very Norman. It looked very French in terms of the look of it. And apparently there was a Norman castle built here long ago, but it was destroyed in the 1300s, I think.
That's true of a lot of castles in Wales. So Cardiff Castle actually has a very long history, but they keep building on it. And actually, when you look at it, you can sort of see the various layers of stone and actually see the architecture of its history. And I think that's true of quite a few castles in Wales. They've got historic origins.
Sure.
But some of them have obviously not stood the test of time. Some of them are ruins, but some of them have been built on top of as well. So you've got a sort of like weird mishmash of history going on there, which is quite exciting.
Well, and when I think of Wales, I think of the castles. You said 600 castles, and was it the English or actually even the Romans that dug a big ditch to keep the Welsh out? So the Romans wanted to keep the Welsh out, and the English wanted to keep the Welsh down. There always seems to be some problems with the Welsh. I don't understand.
We're very obstinate. We're a nice people, but we can be a very difficult people at times, I will say.
Well, and that was the case in those days. A little more independent-minded than the English cared for. So
very much, very difficult to manage, which is exactly what my husband says about me as well.
Although they did appreciate the longbow once they acquired that from Wales. So.
Oh, yes, definitely. The reason, so I referenced that we have the Welsh language, and it's survived mostly because the government has put a lot of money, time and resources into preserving this language. So it's a compulsory subject at school. You'll see it on all the road signs. All the public services here as well have to have what's called a Welsh first policy. So all the documentation has to be in Welsh. If you're a Welsh university here, you have the right to request to submit your work in Welsh. And I think the Welsh Gov has done a really fantastic job of preserving the language and keeping it alive, because I believe it's more widely spoken than, say, Irish or Scottish Gaelic. I believe. Might want to check on that. But I think about 20% of the population speak it fluently here. Okay. The funny thing about Welsh is it's a sliding scale, depending on if you went to a Welsh-speaking school or an English-speaking school. So some people are absolutely fluent and other people can just speak a bit or understand more than they can speak. It's kind of a funny situation because obviously the English tried very, very hard to suppress the language.
Right.
In fact, in Welsh schools, there used to be something called a Celtic knot. So if you were caught speaking Welsh, you had this knot. Seriously. Yep. This knot put around your neck, and the last child wearing the knot at the end of the day basically got a beating.
Yeah, it's been a troubled relationship at times, but it's gotten better.
Oh, definitely, except when rugby's on.
Well, yes. Well, that's then all bets are off. The other thing I could think of that we didn't talk about, you talked about the mining history in Wales. One of the interesting things that came out of that culture, and you mentioned both slate and coal, were mined regularly in Wales, were the choirs.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if that's still a part of the Welsh heritage that one can access.
Absolutely. We have a big male voice choir scene here in Wales. And it's definitely, you can look at concerts and things like that. I do have friends who are musicians as well. And there is a lot of music and song and performance here. So male voice choirs, definitely when you are planning a trip to Wales, it is honestly magnificent to see. We've got several large venues here, such as the Wales Millennium Centre, which do put on performances. But you can also check out the smaller community ones as well, depending on where you're visiting in Wales. Definitely do a little bit of research, because if you can make it to a male voice choir concert, it is honestly beautiful, especially if they're singing traditional Welsh songs as well, because you won't hear that anywhere else in the world.
Okay. You mentioned at one point coming in the shoulder season. If we had to say your favorite time of year to be in Wales, or your favorite day of year to be in Wales, what would they be?
Oh, so I have two. That's allowed.
That is absolutely allowed.
Autumn is a fabulous time to be in Wales because it's still sort of like nice weather. The leaves are turning. Attractions are quieter because the kids have gone back to school. So definitely if you're heading to some of the more popular areas such as Snowdon, Tenby in West Wales, which is a really popular beach, they tend to be a little bit quieter. Also February, because we normally have the Six Nations, which is a rugby tournament which is an ongoing rugby tournament between Six Nations, including Wales, England, Scotland, Ireland, France and Italy. And some of the games are held here in Cardiff in the Millennium Stadium, which is a 70,000 capacity stadium. And it is magical to be here during that time. Oh, imagine thousands of Welsh fans lining the street, wearing red shirts, singing Welsh songs, drinking. It is, honestly, it's my favourite time of year to be in Wales.
Come in February, wear red, and don't wear what color?
Don't wear an England shirt.
Don't wear an England shirt. Okay.
Don't wear an England shirt. Although, to be fair, rugby's not like football. There is a lot of banter here. So we lost to Ireland in the Six Nations. Well, we've lost to them several times, as much as it pains me to admit it. And I've been in the pubs afterwards, and Irish people are drinking alongside Welsh people, and there's ribbing, but there's no nastiness or anything like that. I think rugby's got a really nice atmosphere to it. So if you can get to a rugby game in Wales, that's what we're all about here. That's, I believe, how we differ from England slightly, because I'm not saying the English don't love their rugby, but we love it more.
And best day of year to be in Wales?
Ooh.
Particular festival, holiday, your birthday?
My birthday, obviously, which is next week. Yay.
Oh, well, there we go.
I would say any day that Wales wins a Grand Slam, which is basically you've won all the games in the Six Nation.
Okay.
Because it just goes berserk here. Absolutely never seen anything like it. The whole country just loses its mind. Everyone's singing and dancing, and it is just spectacular. Unfortunately, the last time we won the Grand Slam, I was in New Zealand, standard, traveling over there, so I had to party in Queenstown with my Welsh friend. But any day we win a Grand Slam is the day to be in Wales, because it is a day of drinking, singing and hugging. Everyone will want to hug you, which is obviously right now not ideal, is it? But
not so much.
In better times, it is absolutely fantastic. So autumn and February, I would say, are definitely great times to be in Wales. Whatever time you come to Wales, though, prepare for rain.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows I love Wales, but man, it rains here. Expect rain. And we're talking sometimes drizzle, but other times absolutely howling, sideways rain, like the rapture cometh. So bring waterproofs, bring wellies, and bring like a sort of good sense of optimism about the weather
wellies
here.
Would be rubber boots.
Yes.
Okay, just translating for my English. Excellent. The other thing we didn't talk about in Cardiff, we gave Cardiff a little bit of a short shrift, is if you're a Doctor Who fan, you can probably see some familiar sights in Cardiff, as they've filmed a lot of it in that area.
They have filmed a lot of Doctor Who in Cardiff, which is really nice. I actually, previously used to work in events, and one of my previous jobs was I used to walk people around Doctor Who locations, which is pretty cool. For Doctor Who fans and Torchwood fans, there's a Ianto shrine in Cardiff Bay.
And the rest of you who aren't will have to look that one up.
Yeah, absolutely. But those in the know will know exactly what I mean. If you Google Ianto Shrine, Mermaid Key, Cardiff, and
that is funny.
definitely go and check it out. It's really cool.
What else do people need to know before they go to Wales?
So we've already covered weather. Bring wellies, rubber boots, bring raincoats, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Also, hire a car if possible, just because if you're looking to cover a lot of ground, definitely you're going to need it getting around. Here as well, be prepared to kind of go to the more offbeat places. If you're looking for an authentic Welsh experience, go to places like the Cambrian Mountains, the Elan Valley, Devil's Bridge, all those kind of lesser known parts of Wales, because I really think that's where you're going to get the most out of Wales, to be honest. Not that the other parts aren't absolutely stunning. They are. They're popular for a reason, because they are absolutely glorious. Brecon, Snowdonia, Tenby, Pembrokeshire, the Gower, all those kind of coastal places and mountainous areas and national parks are absolutely stunning. And I do highly recommend visiting them. But give the more offbeat places a chance. That's where you're going to find sort of like unusual activities as well. Also some stargazing hotspots. That's really growing in popularity here as well. There are a lot of dark sky sites and a lot of dark sky events now. So definitely do your research and try and see where the more hidden parts of Wales are, because I really think that's where you're going to really connect with what Wales is all about.
Well, and you say the mountainous parts of Wales, that's pretty much all of Wales, right?
Absolutely. But there's more popular parts than others.
Yeah.
So Panavan is popular, Snowdon is popular.
Right.
As I said, Pimlamon, that's where you want to go for your hiking because it is kind of badass there. It is. You won't see another soul. You'll hike for like 6 hours and you'll not see another person. And that is rare in Britain to go on sort of like a hike like that and not see another person. I did see paragliders, which was fairly interesting. So head to the popular mountain spots and the popular beaches by all means, but do try and seek out the lesser known parts of Wales because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by what you find.
Well, actually, you say beaches, but I don't think we've mentioned any beaches.
So the popular beaches in Wales, places in the Gower and the Pembrokeshire coast, they have absolutely beautiful award-winning beaches there. And again, if you've got a week in Wales, if you didn't want to do the south to north, you could just head west and explore some of the Welsh coast around the Gower, Swansea, the Mumbles. What you can have there is a mixture of traditional seaside towns, but also smaller sort of like beach communities as well, which are really, really beautiful to visit. Again, I think September's a good time to visit. Okay, it's not going to be fantastic weather, but it's going to be good enough weather to kind of walk on the beach. We've got fantastic coastal walks here, you see, including the Wales Coastal Path, which follows the entire coastline.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. But obviously that takes time to do, so you can just do short sections like in Pembrokeshire. You can either walk part of it or you can hire a bike from Pembrey and cycle part of the section and see sort of like lovely beaches, little harbour towns such as Buryport, all those kind of places. So we do have absolutely stunning coast here. What I would say is that perhaps not always the weather in Wales. So maybe come to the coast more for coastal walks and to stay in lovely beachside hotels, visit gastropubs that serve delicious Welsh seafood as well. We have mussels here, we have cockles as well. We also have various types of fish. So there is a strong seafood scene here, as well as lava bread, which is kind of, and I kid you not, seaweed on toast.
Okay.
Yeah. We love being a bit different here in Wales.
Excellent. As we start to wrap this up, you're standing in the prettiest spot in all of Wales. Where are you standing and what are you looking at?
The view from the top of Pimlamon, because you can see the entire landscapes unfold around you and there is no one else around. So at the actual summit of Pimlamon, which is a mountain in the Cambrian Mountains, the scenery up there is absolutely beautiful, but it's the peacefulness as well. You won't see another soul around. It is so quiet up there and you just feel really isolated, but in a good way, really connected with nature. It's very peaceful and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be. What you need to do is take up with you a little flask and some Welsh cakes, which are our local delicacy here. Have a nice cup of tea, because we love a cup of tea here in Wales, on top of the mountain with your Welsh cakes and just enjoy the absolute serenity all around you.
And what is a Welsh cake, besides a cake I buy in Wales?
So it's almost like a flat scone. So it's made with flour, butter, sugar, eggs, and some currants. So they're like little flat scone things which are cooked on like an iron cast griddle. And they're just absolutely gorgeous. They're really lovely little sweet snacks that you can have in Wales. And you should definitely try some. Got it.
And one thing that makes you laugh and say only in Wales.
The sayings we have here are ridiculous. Like, whose coat is that jacket? Or one of my father's favourites, which is, if you tell me how many sweets I got in my hand, I'll give you the both of them. We have all sorts of weird sayings and mannerisms over here. And also, because we're stubborn, if we don't have a word for it in Welsh, because obviously Welsh is a very historic language, rather than just use the English, we'll just make up words in Welsh. So microwave becomes poppity ping. That's the noise a microwave makes, right?
That is the noise a microwave makes?
For
Excellent.
practical people.
Well, our guest again has been Portia or Pip Jones from pipinthecity.com and the whalesbucketlist.com, as well as, we'll mention it again, the Travel Goals podcast. But Pip, if we wanted to send people to your best post on whales, where are we going to send them?
So I would send them to my article on, because it's quite relevant for our chat, which is 1 week in the Cambrian Mountains.
Okay.
And that's on Wales Bucket List, because that will take you through 7 days through the Cambrian Mountains region, which is my favourite part of Wales. So if you are actually looking for 1 week in Wales and you're not sure what to do, this guide will give you 7 days of all the different things you can do and see in 1 week.
Excellent. Excellent. So if we have 2 weeks in Wales total, maybe we could spend 1 week in the Cambrian Mountains and a week to do everything else we talked about.
Absolutely. The longer you can come here, honestly, the more you'll get out of it.
Excellent. Pip, thanks so much for coming on Amateur Traveler and sharing with us your obvious love for Wales.
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Special thanks to members of the community who support the show through Patreon, patreon.com/amateurtraveler, and a special thanks to Kirby Lewis, who is our newest patron, who also wrote and said, "Fantastic site and podcast, glad I found it. Recent Oaxaca discussion was exceptional. How about an update on San Miguel de Allende? Be well." So I wrote back to Kirby, I have been to San Miguel de Allende and Guanajuato since we have done that episode. And actually, I think it's still up to date. I think a lot of the things we talked about, I still found to be accurate when I was there. Wonderful, wonderful destination. And there's a post on amateurtraveler.com about a food tour we did when I was in Guanajuato that goes into some detail about that city. So look for that if you're interested in going to San Miguel and Guanajuato. I also heard from Colin on the episode we did last week on Bogota, who said, "Love the Bogota episode, one of my favorite cities. We did a graffiti bike tour, and it turned into one of those classic travel adventures where you just go with the flow." Excellent, Colin. Thanks so much for sharing. And I should say that Colin sent me the feedback via Twitter. You can either use Amateur Traveler for Twitter or my larger account that does everything, which is Chris2X. And then lastly, I also heard from Sarah, who listened to the episode we did on Oaxaca and said, just listen to your podcast on Oaxaca. And yes, Los Pacos is still in business. It was our favorite restaurant in Oaxaca last summer. Both the food and the people there, awesome. They sell the moles to take home too, which was awesome. And this was the restaurant we mentioned where you could sample all the different moles, or at least I had 6 different moles, all in a sampler platter in Oaxaca. I've been mentioning some of the affiliates we have on the site. Some people these days don't feel as comfortable staying in a hotel as they do in a vacation rental where they can get the whole place. We have links on that page to both VRBO, Vacation Rental by Owner, as well as Airbnb and some other places like Trusted House Sitters. So check that out, amateurtraveler.com/affiliates. With that, we're going to end this episode of Amateur Traveler. If you have any questions, send an email to host@amateurtraveler.com. Catch us on Twitter. And as always, thanks so much for listening.